Okay.
Okay, I'd like to call the meeting to order at 6 o'clock. Anybody participating electronically?
Not as of yet.
Thank you. Next, I need a mover and a seconder to accept the. Okay, done.
We're always pretty good at that.
So I have a motion here from, moved by Councillor Ross, seconded by Councillor Bigelow. Be it resolved that the meeting agenda dated Monday, March 24, 2025 be adopted. Questions, comments? None, all in favor? Carried. Anybody have a conflict of interest to declare? None? No presentation and delegations. And next, we will adopt the minutes. We have two sets of them. Regular meeting of March 10th and a special meeting of March 17th. Need a mover and a seconder? I have a motion moved by Councillor T-Bear, seconded by Councillor Gardner. Be it resolved that council adopt the minutes of the regular meeting of March 10, 2025 and special meeting of March 17, 2025. Questions, comments? All in favor? Carried. Notice of motions. We have an amendment to resolution 25-43 amalgamation study report. And need a mover?
Yeah, I will. Did you want to explain or did you want me to explain?
We'll put it on the table to do it, okay? Someone to second?
Yeah.
Okay.
Mhm.
So as the mover, if you want to explain it now, sure, go ahead.
Yeah, so after the last regular council meeting, I spoke with Mayor Belanger and he shared with me that he's got a lot on his plate right now and spending a lot of time on other big projects that we have going on in town. He was looking to step away from this resolution that we made. So told him I would be willing to step in his place with Councillor Ross and Councillor T-Bear if the table wishes.
Sure, that's a great idea. Okay, so now I'll read the motion and if
Yeah.
anyone has comments or questions. So I have a motion moved by Councillor Gardner, seconded by Councillor Ross. Whereas at the regular meeting of March 10, 2025, council passed resolution number 25-43 stating that council directs the mayor and councillors Ross and T-Bear to hold a meeting with the municipality of Matawan to speak of the potential interest in an amalgamation study. And whereas council further directed the mayor and councillors Ross and T-Bear to return to council with further information at a future date. Be it resolved that resolution number 25-43 be amended to remove Mayor Belanger and replace with Deputy Mayor Gardner. Questions, comments? Any questions, Councillor T-Bear? None, okay. All right, so I'm gonna. Did you answer there? No, I'm gonna call for a vote here. All in favor? Carried. Oh, correspondence. Okay, so 8.1 is from the city of Brampton. It's a Stand Up for Canada campaign. This came on when we took away a resolution last regular meeting that we're in a position where we were approving one or supporting one, not supporting the other. And I had said that maybe we should have a look at this. This is done not only in Ontario, it's done across the country. And the people that sign up and do some amendments to their policies of purchasing and so on, get recognized with our logo on it. So it's a national movement. It's Mayor Patrick Brown out of Mississauga that Brampton, I apologize, that is spearheading it. So I've asked the clerk to put it in as correspondence, and it's up for discussions if anybody wants to discuss, or we can come back and formally sign into this, and we can make our policies reflect it, and we don't have to support 444 resolutions, because everyone's gonna be doing it.
Yeah.
So unless someone has different comments to throw in. And I know in what you have in front of you, there's a page there that says something about local government, residents and businesses. There's a few sentences. I dug in a little deeper and found it. So under local government, they say review your existing procurement with US suppliers and consider disqualifying them from new procurements. And again, that's if we decide to go that way. And under residents, it's check your labels and buy Canadian made products. And under businesses, find new markets at home and abroad and learn more about the resources available to you here. And there's a website that you can go to and it has a lot more information. So Councillor Tiber.
Can I, is this just for the procurement, or is it also for interprovincial trade? Would they be discussing that kind of stuff too?
Everything we've been looking at up to now and supporting is Ontario only. This is across Canada. This movement is national.
So it would involve also interprovincial trade.
Yeah, well, if you look into it, just go look at the logos. And
Yeah,
some
I
of the
see that,
logos
yeah.
will show you like every city, like right now it's huge cities, but there's
Yeah.
also a few small towns. So we wouldn't have to change things to the level they do, but we could do something.
Mhm.
And I think we have some presentations tonight on policies and procedures or a report. So, and I think there's a section there that talks about procurements. So that's all.
I like it. I think we should,
Okay.
I think we should get it involved.
So can we ask the clerk to bring it back to as a resolution next meeting? And sorry, Councillor Gardner.
Can I just add, I'm trying to find it in here and I don't seem to see it. Are they talking about not supporting US or not allowing US owned companies or their subsidiaries from bidding on municipal contracts, but it doesn't say anything about buying US product from Canadian suppliers. So we want to buy a set of tires for one of our vehicles in town. Same set of tires we've always buy. Turns out they're made in the US, but we're buying it from a local Canadian supplier. Are we preventing that with this?
If our
I don't think so.
policies would say so, yes, but our policies don't say that. So I'm on the same thing as you. You're still supporting a Canadian business. You go to the level you want to go.
And a lot of these US companies are US owned, but they do support a lot of Canadian jobs and a lot of Canadian products. So there's a balance there. I agree with kind of supporting Canadian when you can and first and foremost, but there are a lot of things that I don't know, for example, the Walmart of the world, how many jobs do they supply Canadians? Are we going to boycott them because they're American owned? it's a tough one, right? Like where do you draw the line in the sand?
My short answer, and I don't have all those answers, is we could have been looking at supporting 443 different resolutions that they want to support Canadian products. This is a way that you go in and you use what you want out of it, and the rest you don't. I just thought it was a simpler avenue than to, and let's be honest, right now, all our resolutions, yeah, they get sent to the government. Are they looking at them? You know? They're in the middle of a trade war and the terrorists and that, so I don't think knowing that we support something really changes the pendulum at all. Councilor Ross?
To me, it seems they're leaning more towards banning US owned companies from bidding on our municipal contracts, goods and services. So to me, that seems fair, and reviewing existing contracts to Made in Canada. So if you can't get it and you have to go elsewhere, that's fine, but at least you're giving first opportunity to the Canadian companies. That's what I feel.
Yeah, so we'll bring it back as a motion, and it can be voted on at the next regular meeting. Any other comments on 8.1?
No.
Okay, 8.2, a letter from Mr. Zeus, reduction of council letter. Any comments? 8.3, North Bay Mattawa Conservation Authority, Source Protection Committee member recruitment. Any comments? Yeah, Councilor Mick.
A quick plug, looking for a member of the public to join the Source Protection Committee. I think they meet about, if not monthly, it's quarterly. You get a $200 per diem per meeting. I have recently been appointed to the committee, I believe, but I haven't been able to sit on one yet. And I think there is a draft post to put on our website if there's an appetite to kind of help them get the word out, or if anybody knows anybody who's into water source protection and they'd be interested in donating their time. I think there's a way.
Councilor Peter.
Wasn't there a rep, Mr. Belter, at one time, or is he still our rep?
I believe he isn't anymore. He was the chair, if I'm not mistaken. But regardless, I think it's every 5 years. It's a 5-year term. The 3 members from the Conservation Authority and the 3 members from the public and the other person kind of resets. And if it was not Mr. Belter, it was they're short. So we're
So
still,
we can reappoint, does the municipality appoint?
like, yeah, the Conservation Authority has municipal representatives from the Conservation Authority sitting on it, but we don't have to appoint anybody to this. It's just any members from the public who are interested in getting their feet wet with,
Or from this table.
well, like, yeah, we're from the table, yeah, absolutely.
And I think your question was, could he get reelected? Yeah. He just, but at the end of your term, they have to visit I think I read that in there. They have to visit the option that, give someone else a chance.
Somebody new.
Yeah,
But yeah, and I think what happened was the people who were on it before, we would have taken them all back, but someone didn't put their name back on, and I don't know who it was.
Okay.
So there'll be a little interview process, I think, and yeah, but absolutely, if anyone's interested, it's a great way to get your feet wet, if you will.
okay, and then we have 8.4. North Bay Mattawa Conservation Authority Community Center Complimentary Use Request. Question, comments, again, Councilor Mick.
Yeah, it seems like it's been a precedent in the past, and it seems like a good deal to me if we get to put our logo on their signs. Mattawa River Canoe Race is it's got our name in the race. It brings a lot of folks into town for that 1 weekend of year. I don't see why we wouldn't move forward with it. If we need a resolution, I'd be happy to move it.
Councilor Gardner.
Yeah, every time these come to the table, I just kind of always reiterate the same thing, that I think staff are quite capable of answering some of these small requests that, you know, aren't gonna make or break the bank, in a lot of ways, but it is a facility that costs us a lot of money, so anytime we say, yeah, have it for free, it is a tough thing, but I trust staff to take care of that for us.
Any other comments? Maybe bring something back for the next meeting also, please. If everyone's okay with that,
Yeah, for sure.
yeah.
We're fine.
8.5. 8.4, yeah. And 8.5 is Ontario Clean Water Agency 2024 Annual Performance Report of Mattawa Sewage Treatment Lagoon and Sewage Collection System. Comments, questions? Okay. This is number 9. Standing Committee recommendation reports, 9.1. I didn't bring my notes. Okay, so it's report number 25-11R. It was prepared by Deputy Mayor Gardner and Chair of the Corporate Services, and it's titled Draft Firework Bylaw.
So as everybody is aware, since 2023, the Corporate Services Committee has been talking about prohibiting fireworks within the town of Mattawa, both the sale and the use of them. There was a bit of a delay in kind of getting the ball rolling on this one. Our committee structures were changing and how that was going. We had a staff with some time off. So it's taken a little while, but we're here. The committee has reviewed the draft bylaw and members asked that it be circulated to our surrounding municipalities, Matawan and Papineau Cameron, to make them aware of the intentions and to ask for their support. Mr. Chaput, our bylaw officer, also sent an email with a copy of the draft bylaw and set fines to the Crown Council, Crown Law Office of the Ministry of the Attorney General in Toronto for their approval of the set fines. Making sure I got that right. Mr. Chaput did note that he did receive communication back confirming that the information provided only as it relates to the proposed set fine application portion of the bylaw was acceptable. He also did note that he sent emails to both of our neighboring municipalities with a copy of the draft bylaw and set fines and asked them to share it with their council. Only an email with a resolution of non-support from Matawan Township was received back. Attached is the proposed draft bylaw being submitted from the Corporate Services Committee for council consideration. The recommendation is that we would receive this report and that we would ask the clerk to bring this back as a formal bylaw at the next regular meeting.
Okay, questions, comments? Councillor Mick.
And this was mostly for like a fire safety thing, correct? That was the reasoning behind bringing this forward?
Oh, go ahead.
Sorry. So yeah, so right now, technically the fireworks are, they're prohibited within the town of Mattawa under an ancient, don't quote me on the name of it, but it's like a noise bylaw or a sound bylaw. And I want to say it's from like around the time we were born.
1968.
I think it's late. I think there's a later one than that.
That's what I said.
Yeah.
So, they were always, prohibited within the town. The part that we kind of were failing on is one that we needed some updated, fine structures for it. We needed a way, for people who do want to put on proper shows, and have, you know, somebody that knows what they're doing, put on a proper show. So this allows for that. And also this prohibits the sale. So the downside of our old bylaw is that it prohibited the use, but it didn't prohibit the sale. So we had stores locally that are selling them to people that aren't from Mattawa. They're going, they're buying them, they're using them and not realizing that they're breaking a bylaw because they're not from here.
Right.
So this kind of takes care of some of that. It's not going to prevent all the people buying because you can buy anywhere else, but it just kind of made sense that if you're not allowed to use them in town, why would we allow them to be sold in town? So that was the thinking on that.
Any other comments?
So we could apply to have a like fireworks show or
Yeah.
like the Citrus Park or something like that. It could apply like through our bylaw.
Correct, and it would have to be approved by our fire chief, so then the fire department would be aware of it, they'd know that it's happening, they'd have adequate personnel ready to respond in case, things like that.
But it would also have to be, run by a licensed, person that's
Hmm.
registered to set off fire. Displays.
Yeah, and to that extent, I'd have to refer to Mr. Shappy, who's the one who actually wrote the bylaw, but I did notice that in there, and I don't know what the extent is to getting to be approved for to be, for the people that are, like an approved, person to set the fireworks off or the display fireworks off, I don't know what that entails to become that. If it's something that's difficult, or if it's difficult to find those people, but
Yeah, and like I said, it's gonna be like, events like Warrior Days, Canada Day. You know, for the professionals to come in and do it, that's basically what it's gonna be for, so basically, all the family fireworks are. Like a family can't come in and apply for a display fireworks permit because they wanna have a family reunion or something. It's gotta be, well, technically, they could if they had a professional come in and do it, that's gonna fill out the form and, you know, have the supervisor in charge, and they gotta be. And meet the guidelines, you gotta be so far away from houses.
And that was always my understanding, like, we're not, this wasn't a ban, it was a regulation.
Yeah.
We're trying to control it.
Yeah.
And when you kind of scared me off there when you said a family firework you can't have. They can have it if they apply for a license, a permit, and have the right people discharging it.
Yep.
So, and that's what I like about the bylaw, we're not saying it's a total ban. You know, and just look around, folks, we're surrounded by forest.
Mhm.
You know, and it seems you're either flooding or you're in a drought. You know, there's no in between anymore, so.
We already had two previous fires, who's a fire.
And that was my next point. I was aware of one garage that was burnt, and when I mentioned that last meeting, someone said, no, two of them. So it's, you know, it's time that I think we do something about it. Councillor Keebear?
Would this be, cost prohibitive for, say, a family that's having a get together? Would it be cost prohibitive for them to get a professional in? Do we know how much it would cost?
I don't have a clue what it would cost, but they would need somebody that knew what they were doing, setting off the fire. I don't know the exact cost.
You can have your own fireworks and that person can set it off for you. It depends, like you would have to contact the person to see what fireworks cost. Do you have your own, what kind do you have? Like they can help you with all of that. But you would have to get somebody who knows actually what they're doing and that's licensed.
That's one part.
Yeah.
The other part is you need a permit from the town.
And you need a permit from here, yeah.
So someone's checking all
Yeah.
those boxes.
Mhm.
Any other questions? So I do have a motion here. I'm looking for a mover and a seconder. Councilor Lawson. So the motion is moved by Councillor Mick, seconded by Councillor Ross. Be it resolved that council of the town of Mattawa receives report 25-11R titled Draft Firework Bylaw. And further that council directs the clerk to bring forward the formal fireworks bylaw at the next regular meeting of council. Questions, comments? I'm gonna ask for a recorded vote, please.
Mayor Boulanger,
Yes.
Councilor Ross,
Yes,
Councilor Beal,
Yes.
Councilor Teeger,
Yes,
Councilor Nick,
Yes.
and Deputy Mayor Gardner.
Yes.
The motion is carried unanimously.
Thank you. Next is information reports. 10.1 was prepared by myself. It's report number 25-12R. It's titled Roma Rural Roots 2025. Everyone had a chance to browse through it. It's, I believe, a 4-page report with the attached letters that I sent to the ministries leading up to Roma. So I'm gonna give you a bit of background first, and I'm not gonna try and read everything, but I was very selective what I wanted to put in my report. So at their first meeting following the January Roma conference held in Toronto, the board heard that Roma 2025 broke attendance records and received high marks on post-conference evaluations. The final numbers indicated that 2,000 attendees from across Ontario traveled for the event. All conference feedback is reviewed by staff and is always considered for the next year's event. The Government of Ontario held a total of 574 delegation meetings in response to 763 requests. These meetings help communities engage on local matters with provincial leaders. The Roma board sat face-to-face with provincial leaders to discuss shared concerns of rural municipal government, including responding to the unique and growing challenges of homelessness in rural communities, making sure smaller communities can access the infrastructure funding needed to build more homes in their communities, and improving access to both primary and hospital care for rural Ontarians in their communities. The analysis and discussions, Premier Doug Ford, Paul Calandra, Minister of Municipal Affairs and Housing, Lisa Thompson, Minister of Rural Affairs, Rob Flack, Minister of Agriculture, Food and Agribusiness, and Kinga Surma, Minister of Infrastructure, all delivered remarks at the 2025 Roma Annual General Meeting and Conference. And you noticed already this happened a little bit more than a month ago, and some portfolios, new people are already in it. So that's one of the challenges we face when you seem to be starting over a lot of times. And in here, there's three of the ministries, two of them, I apologize, that have a new minister now. Roma also encouraged those attending Roma 2025 conference to participate in the zone meetings held on the morning of Sunday, January 19th, prior to the start of the conference proceedings. This was an opportunity to meet our Roma Zone Board representative, Mark Wilson, a councillor from the city of Temiskaming Shores, and hear about Roma priorities and provide input and feedback at the board. It happens that I was there with the CEO on that one, and we had a very it was a different type of discussion. It was about OPP costing,
Okay,
and everybody in the room was okay with what I was saying. But I was put on guard by West Nipissing, and West Nipissing was a little trying to find out where this 10,000 and less, because we passed a resolution here saying that the government should, take the cost away for smaller municipalities, rural and small urban municipalities. But we slapped the word 10,000, but I tried to explain to them we were supporting someone else's, so there's a thing that happens there, but they're saying, we're only 14,000, we have the exact same problems. And I told them, moving forward, I will say small urban and small rural communities.
Yeah.
I won't put a number. So
exactly.
I learned something there, and I learned that sometimes you say something that you don't mean to offend someone, but
But you do.
and they're going, well, what makes you better than us? We need the money too.
Mhm.
So just wanted to bring that one there. Roma was also had a great keynote speaker. It was Chantal Hébert. Chantal Hébert is a political columnist whose work appears in the Toronto Star and the magazine L'Actualité. She is also a weekly participant of CBC the Nationals Political Panel at Issue. A prolific journalist who is passionate about Canadian politics, particularly in relations to Quebec. Hébert spoke with authority and passion on public policy and other matters of national importance. And she made a few predictions there, and Sunday her second prediction's done, you know, so she's well tuned. She was entertaining, and you know, I thought it was a highlight of Roma. Delegations meeting, again, you know, delegation meeting are a unique opportunity for our council to engage with ministers, the parliamentary assistants, and senior Ontario government officials on local matters that impact our municipality. Registered Roma conference delegates are eligible to request meetings with provincial government. The town of Mattawa requested to meet with three ministries. The Ministry of Solicitor General, the Ministry of Long-Term Care, that one being for Castleholm, the previous one for the OPP costing, and the Ministry of Infrastructure for the grants that we've been denied, and we keep reapplying. That's what the letters that I approached attached to this report are all about. And we requested 3 of them. We were successful with 2. So, and it's the one of them was pretty intimidating, because a little group from Mattawa walks in, the one from long-term care, and there's 10 of them at the table.
Oh, there we
You
go.
know, the first one, they had, what, 3, Paul, but that one there, 10, you know, and they're hearing it. They know what's happening.
Oh, yeah.
You know, in both places, we were told they're dealing with it. They couldn't tell us anything, but I'm expecting to get some good news. I'm hoping for good news. Conference highlights, the inauguration of US President Trump, the possibility of tariffs in Canada, and the future of US-Canada relations over the conference, with speeches from Premier Ford and the opposition leaders highlighting the importance of standing up against these threats. It wasn't part of the program, but you could feel it. You could feel it in the building, you know, people were tense, and there were a lot of side chats and that kind of stuff going on. Trade tariffs, pre-election strategy. The conference coincided with the inauguration of US President Trump, and the threat of tariffs loomed large in the weeks following the conference. Ontario Premier Doug Ford called provincial election amid trade and tariff talk. So that was Chantal Hébert's first prediction, that it was going to happen quick, and he did it shortly after the conference. But despite the overlap, municipal leaders remain focused on local issues, with awareness that municipal challenges need to be addressed with even greater urgency in the face of geopolitical and economic uncertainty. Ministers, there was 2 that announced some funding. One of them, I don't think that's relevant to us, but the other one was from the Minister of Infrastructure, Kinga Surma, which we're already aware of, announced that as of February 12th, but that's been backed off because of the election. The province will begin accepting applications for the 175 million health and safety water stream of the municipal housing infrastructure program. Then there's I'm starting to call it the same now, the bear pit. That's where all the cabinet ministers are on stage, and the crowd gets to ask some questions. Some of the ones that really piqued my curiosity was property assessment and tax system review. It's a review that is underway, and that the government wants to ensure that they get it right with fairness at its heart. I wish Mr. Zeus was here this evening, because he was questioning that kind of stuff. Frozen Conservation Authority fees. The government says they will not reverse their decision, that they want the fees to remain, because they want to ensure that building permits are issued quickly so housing can be built. Then the AMO's Social and Economic Prosperity Review. The government reiterated existing investments in infrastructure in infrastructure and housing. So they're saying, when are you going to sit with us? They're saying, well, we're giving you money. So AMO's been working at this for a few years now, and we'll talk about it a little further down. And this is what I want to talk about now. Vote like your quality of life depends on it. It was a neat, a neat campaign that they launched, and you guys will recognize these. We went in the thing, and then they were all sitting on our, and then there are three items that they're telling people, go to the polls, go vote, go make a difference, because, you know, we,
Your voice means something.
your voice means something, like they say, your community that desperately needs provincial investment in municipal infrastructure to build more homes.
Mhm.
You know, we've heard the song, you know, but we're not seeing the money. Ontario must invest in municipal infrastructures to make housing more affordable. Municipalities and home builders can no longer do it alone. They talked about provincial policies that left 80,000 homeless in Ontario with 1,400 encampments in public parks. They talked about billions of property tax dollars that are diverted each year to pay for provincial programs driving up our tax bills. Ontario must fund its own programs so municipalities can keep our communities safe, affordable, and prosperous. And the final thing I want to touch up on, and I thought was interesting, LAS. LAS is the business service arm of AMO. They've published a feasibility study on creating municipal service corporations for water and wastewater systems. A panel of municipal experts explored whether these corporations could be a new way to finance infrastructure and other cost pressures on smaller municipal water and wastewater systems. The board supported LAS next step of developing a business case with interested municipalities to determine the viability and the proposed model and next steps. So that was interesting, and I see if we hear anything down the road about it.
Mhm.
In a nutshell, that's it. Anybody have any questions for me? Any comments? No?
Great.
Looking for a mover and a second. Okay. Moved by Councillor. Oh, I thought I saw your arm go.
It did, but I'll let you read it or.
Okay, I'll ask a question. Moved by Councillor Ross, seconded by Councillor Bigelow. Be it resolved that council of the town of Mattawa receives report number 25-12R. Routes 2025. Councillor Gardner.
So, sorry, I didn't get my hand up quick enough the first time. Just wanted to say that I appreciate the report. I know that it was a long one and there was a lot that went into it. I know that I was kind of poking the bear a little bit on this a few times with you and kind of reiterating that we sent four people down to this event. And I would hope that out of it, at least council can get something like this. So it was good to see. I would hope that in the future, maybe we can all collaboratively put one together, or everybody submit their own, and because I'd be interested to kind of hear. Now I know what you got out of it, but there are 3 other people that went, and I'd be curious to know what they got out of it, because everybody does get something different out of these events. So, but thank you.
Councillor Mick.
Yeah, I could add to, actually, I wasn't sure whether to comment on this one, but I'm glad you brought it forward. And I was gonna say, I absolutely agree with the keynote speaker. I thought she was fantastic and really good at kind of predicting what the next month and a half will come. But I've had a bit of a report drafted for like a month and a half now, so I'll try and bring it to the next one. And I'm excited to bring it forward because Councilor Bigelow and I kind of teamed up, and you and Paul kind of teamed up, so I've got a little bit of a different stuff to bring. Yeah, I've got like a few trade show folks that stuck out, and we went to some really neat sort of social services and homelessness
Okay.
workshops that were really neat. And, so I'll bring those forward, hopefully at the next one, and maybe we can collab on that.
Absolutely.
Mhm.
Any other? Okay, so no further questions or comments. I'm going to call all in favor. Carried. 10.2, Administration policies and procedures amendments, it's report number 25-13R. And it was prepared by the CEO treasurer. Floor is yours, sir.
Thank you. This is actually an item that's also listed under old business, but I thought in order to, sort of facilitate the conversation, I thought I'd put a report together. On the evening of February 18th, when this is presented, I was not in attendance at that meeting, and there were questions which Mayor Belanger shared with me afterwards. And so the specific of those questions. So what I did is I took excerpts from those policies and procedures and then made some changes to them based on discussions that we hear and want to present to us for your consideration. And so they are items in here that are indicated in red font, so you can easily track it. So just to recap, there were policies and there were procedures. So the policies were accepted as presented, and the procedures there were some comments. So I'll dive into them. So the first one is on page 11 of the policy of the procedures and policy manual, and it is at the bottom there under signing authority. And where it said signing officers consist of a council member. Now we're specifying that council member to be the mayor or a standing committee chair. So that'll put, we need one, and so that'll provide three possibilities in the event that whoever is available at the time to sign checks. I'll just keep going. If you have questions, please stop me and then we can discuss it. On page 12, under accounts payable, it was over $10,000 without have obtained three comparable quotes. If three quotes cannot be obtained, documentation will be put on file as to why three quotes could not be obtained and what steps were taken to secure same to those quotes. They're just specifying that if it goes over 10,000, then we absolutely have to have three quotes.
Am I getting this straight that within that 10,000, it can be three invoices?
Yeah,
Or three parts,
right.
if you want to call it that. Is that how I read that?
Yeah, so I think somewhere there on the next page that gets clarified.
Oh, okay.
So on page, what is page 15 under procurement, so there's a few things there. One, so we've added the preamble to, I think we sort of have to be careful how we prescribe this. I think we have to be keeping a good business practice, but essentially what this says is where possible, any and all purchases shall be made with a shop locally approach. So we want to focus on purchasing here from Ottawa, that ensuring best procurement practices are followed and best prices are secured. So that's a theme I think that we can now hold ourselves accountable to make sure that we at least consider locally first. And then down below, this is where the CEO shall ensure that purchases in excess of $10,000. These are individual amounts or the sum of a series of related purchases that exceed 10,000. So I think that's fair. That's what you're referring to.
Yeah.
So it's not one, but you can't split them up and create three of them to get under the $10,000 limit. You have to all related. So that's been added there for greater clarity. On the next page, 16, here we talk about checks. So then again, that's consistency. Back to the first page. So the group A and group B. So group A is mayor or a chair of the corporate services committee or the chair of the community services committee. So any of the three, and then the rest is unchanged. And then down at the bottom on the credit card. So I think there was a comment there that who does it? So it's the department heads are to authorize or approve a charge account or credit card. That doesn't mean that they themselves go do it. They must approve it though.
Yeah, that was brought forward because this table.
Yeah, so
Question, yeah.
I'm addressing those, all your points that you guys have brought forward. So then on page 20, for clarity, we talked about the hiring committee, defining the hiring of the department head. Currently, these are the directors of community services, the fire chief, the chief billing officer or buyout officer, and the clerk. So those are who the department heads are. Page 23, there was wanting to identify or expand what some of the social media pages are. So we listed them here. I just I put a footnote there that we're in brackets to be consolidated. So we want to try and simplify our social media presence. And so our Instagram page or Facebook page sort of have maybe segments in them. So I'm working with our IT, or in this case Dexter, to try and see if we can clean those up a bit. And have, instead of having 3 Facebook pages and 3 Instagram pages, maybe 1 Facebook, 1 Instagram. So that's what I mean by a bracket, but I believe that's the list as we understand it. And at the bottom for greater clarity of their internal communication, it starts on 23 here. In most situations, general communications from council to staff or from staff to council can be done through the CAO. And then on the next page, notwithstanding the above, councilors can approach staff directly for non-work direction matters, and staff can approach council directly. Any communication related to a complaint will be done in accordance to procedure. I hope that clarifies that. The next page, this is page 42. There was a question around in lieu of overtime. So essentially, we're saying in lieu of overtime or on call time. This is related to the management. So right now for management, we no longer pay overtime to myself, to the director, to the fire chief, and the supervisors. And so the public works and parks and rec, and so that is in their employment contract. And potentially, instead of giving them time off in the year, we give them 1 additional week of overtime a year. They're compensated for any overtime. So that's the approach is taken.
Stupid question maybe, but what if one of your staff has no overtime? Or not given an extra week vacation? They gotta at least have 40 hours of extra time, right?
Yeah, so they have a lot more.
No, I realize that. I just want to make it clear. Like, I know that, but I know I was once upon a time in that seat, and the first few years I wrote off hundreds of hours.
Yeah, right.
You know, because you couldn't use them, you couldn't bank them.
And the time, our staff, for example, if you were to take the public works supervisor as an example, so he submits this timesheet every period, and it keeps track of his time, so I can see, and everybody will exceed the 40 hours.
Yeah.
But we do keep track.
Okay, thank you.
Okay, and then the last item was around the guideline 5.4.4, which was around investigation. So I put the guideline there, and then the page 37 is the last part of that guideline, and is around the dismissal. And I've amended it. They used to say when it is felt that it is impossible or undesirable to retain an offending employee, the CEOs can discharge the employee. So now we amended that to say when it is felt that it is impossible or undesirable to retain an offending employee, the CEO can discharge a non-department head employee. The employee is notified in writing and a record is kept. Department head employees, i.e. the director of human services, the fire chief, the clerk, or the chief bylaw officer or building bylaw officer, can only be dismissed with the approval of council. And
You got questions? Yeah. Yeah, go ahead. Laura.
Okay, so I just have a question about this one. Who, as an example, who would that be? Because your employees are covered by the union, are they not? Who would somebody be that you would dismiss?
so we hired summer student.
Okay,
Okay, they get caught drinking on the dock. I have to wait for the next 3, 4, 2 weeks of council to dismiss that. Well, I want to fire them on the spot. I don't like to dismiss people, but you need to be able to manage those things, right? So.
okay.
Right now, the way it was, or if it's not in there, I couldn't do that.
Mhm.
So I think there's some practicalities that, you know, in the event that those things happen, they need to be dealt with in the moment, because they become a risk management issue, right? So that's an example.
Okay, so say you have somebody
Can I
in,
butt in though?
Yeah,
I like
sure.
your question about the union. What if it is a union employee?
Okay, so,
Because a student is covered under the union,
But not-
you're right, under the contract,
yeah.
but not, they don't pay
contract-
union dues.
Yeah, but contracted employees do.
Yeah,
So we get out of contract, so I think the same would apply there, I mean, you, of course, they can. File a grievance and follow that process, because that's in the collective agreement, but I think that in the same example that I just gave, whether or not they were. Unionized or non-unionized, it's still a matter of somebody has done something terrible, and at the time and the moment, and we're talking non-management, obviously, here, because that's a different kettle, I think, so, yeah, so I think it wouldn't matter if it was or wasn't to you.
Laura wasn't, Councilor Ross wasn't that.
so just, for instance, would Amy be considered management or
Yeah, she's a department head,
she's a department head? Okay,
every bit of the stable.
everybody, okay.
Yeah.
So because I was just saying,
Yeah.
who's that happening to?
Yeah.
Yeah, okay. Yeah, so anybody who's union, then they would go to your union and do the grieving process and
If
the
they,
whole
if
thing.
they,
would
if they
take
felt
place.
that they had a case, that's correct.
Okay. Yeah, I'm good, yeah.
You're done, Councilor Mick, you had your hand up too.
No,
No, Councilor T-Bag?
No, I would just, it was answered,
Okay.
I think that drinking is a terrible offense, it's causes the safety of fellow employees. And even if it's union or non-union, I think immediate dismissal, and then the union person has the procedures put in place where they can either grieve it or, you know, go through their union to get their job back. I think drinking on the job is a very serious offense. I just lost my place here. I don't know, this keeps shutting off on me for some reason.
Any other questions?
I do have one other
Yeah,
question. I thought at one of our meetings, and I'm not sure if it was at the corporate services level or if it was at this table, where we discussed the $25,000 limit that we had, because I know there was councillors that were concerned about the CAO having the authority up to 25,000 from 5,000. But did we discuss it at our
I think
corporate
it's 10.
services or
It was here.
at the table? Yeah. Okay, did we ever come up with I don't see any
No, we
changes
didn't, and maybe I was taking the notes on my sheet, maybe I didn't bring it forward, but I'd have to go check what I went to the CEO with,
So
I-
what
I-
we, I'll just find my,
I thought before you get going, Paul, I know that we had talked about. I thought it was, we were talking about the 5,000 to 50,000 CEO treasurer approved by, but then we talked that only if it's a budgeted item. And I thought that had silenced it, but you're saying the 25,000 was also
I think so.
questioned. I don't remember if I brought it forward. So if you want to answer.
no, I think, well, you just did, but then we broke. Before, it wasn't broken down between budgeted and non-budgeted. And it was 10, not 5, so over 10 had to come to council, so. What I was arguing, and what I am arguing is, in today's world, I mean, those policies date back to a long time and haven't been changed a long time. And so what we did is we moved it to 25. recommended 25 for non-budgeted, and then budgeted went up to 50. And so that's what's broken down on page 15 there. So those are the numbers that are before you. So breaking them down, budgeted versus non-budgeted. Recognizing that in the budget, those things are already approved. But I figured, just because it's approved, when you start getting things over 50,000 and stuff like that, then it should come here regardless. And then you should have council say yea or nay. So that's kind of the strategy around that.
Does that answer your question or?
Well, it answered the question, but it doesn't, I think we had said 10,000 and anything over a certain amount would have to come back to council. Either 10 or 15, I can't remember, but I know it wasn't 25.
Councillor Mick had his hand up.
Well, I was just gonna kind of ask why we even have budgeted things approved when we approve a budget. It's approved, like, I'm fine with not coming back to council with it. But I'm kind of a little uncomfortable with the 25 as well too. Like, I trust everybody, but $25,000, that's 2 council members, right? So I'd motion to bring that down a little bit.
Okay. Councillor Gardner?
I'm good with it the way that it is. I think this is like the 3rd or 4th time that we've seen it with these numbers, and I know that one councillor did make a comment about it the last time that it was brought when the CEO wasn't here. But I don't think the table made any decisions. I think it was kind of talked about and then just we moved on type of thing. But I'm good with it that the numbers that it's at. Like I think of we buy salt and sand every year and stuff like that. Like, do I want a salt invoice for $15,000 to come to council so that we can prove it? No. Do we need the salt? Yes or no?
Would that be budgeted?
Yeah, that would be budgeted.
Yeah.
Anything else? No. Councillor Ross, you have.
No. I just find it high personally, but I don't know what you would be buying for that amount. I get the salt and sand, the budget, I don't know what a non-budgeted item of that kind of amount of money we would purchase. I don't know what we.
So for example, like last year, we decided to replace Wayne's vehicle. It was $27,000. So that would come here to council, and it did. There might be, we did the sweeping contract. That was $30,000. We came here.
Mhm.
But what would,
Yeah, so those are non-budget, they were non-budgeted at the time, so I think for me, there's a balance as to what needs to happen in the moment and what, from a precautionary standpoint, we are round numbers, $10 million budget, right? So start having to approve everything over $5,000 and just, you tie the hand of administration.
Yeah.
But so you need a number that you feel comfortable with
That's
things
for
are
a
gonna
guide.
run up. So if you were to look at other businesses, these are pretty standard numbers. Some of them go up for budget, I didn't go up to 100,000. I think that's probably high, because individually, we don't have a lot of transactions that are in that range. I mean, other than contract stuff like Dorian Road, but then you guys approved the contract and those kind of things. But if we wanted to, I don't know, do some major thing at the arena and spend 100,000, well, I should come here and you guys should decide, yeah, we want to, no, we don't want to. But so non-budgeted item, we said, if it's over 25, that's gotta be something fairly significant and you should weigh in on it. You gotta buy, you gotta change the tires on the or a blade on the plow truck. Well, you can get the 20,000 in a hurry or plus. And yeah, some of those things just happen in the normal course of business.
Okay.
If we have a a water dig and when it goes real bad, Dex, how much do we spend on that? And we're gonna say,
Yeah.
hey, don't fix it, let the water run, we're gonna come to council, because it's gonna be $22,000.
Yeah,
You gotta let us do our job, but, you know, when you start going over 25, you say, well, how big a job is it? And, you know, so those kind of things.
okay.
Just,
Yeah, I was gonna say, like, obviously, it's about not micromanaging and having trust. It's just coming up with the number that is appropriate, as the CEO was saying. So, I also see all this as like our Bible, the policies and the procedures to that, like, to make this the best job for everybody to actually be here as well. And that's why I like everything that's been put forward. So we're not micromanaging, but also being within a good budget
Reasonably, yeah.
that we can let them do their job as well. I don't know what that number is, but I'll be
We'll
honest.
go with that.
However, I do like what the CEO was saying as well, and all that makes sense.
yeah, I know the old procurement, policy was so bad and it was updated in 17, 16 maybe, and, you know, 2000. Tell me what you get for $2,000. So I agree that has to go up to 2,500 for a department head. And I thought it should go up a little bit more even, you know, maybe that could have went up to 5,000, and then from 5,000 to, I'm like you, what is the magic number?
Mhm.
I've heard 15, I heard 15, and I think I heard 15. I'm okay with 25, you're okay with 25, so we're at a deadlock. What do we do? And I saw you had your hand up, Councilor Pieper.
Well, I just wanted to talk to Paul here. You mentioned about a water break. If it's under $25,000, are you gonna let it run? Or if it's over 20, the same thing as if it's over 25,000, you're not gonna sit overnight and wait for us to come in a week later and make it if it costs 30,000, you're gonna fix it right away. You know what I mean? It's not something that you come back to council and say, okay, this is gonna cost us 30,000 while the water is running over on 8th Street. So that's not a fair assumption or a fair example to bring forward. My question too is, what about things like an $18,000 fire truck that's sitting in Ottawa? And you can purchase it without coming to council, where I don't think that's, maybe we don't want a tanker. Maybe we don't think that it's any good for Mattawa unless there's a policy to go out into another municipality and fight fires for cost, of course, but so those are the types of things that I am concerned about. And I don't care about raising it up to 15 grand or whatever. I'm okay with that. But I have a little problem with 25, even 15, but I'm okay with 15. I don't know. I'd have to, I don't know.
Councilor Gardner?
Two things. One, I got good news for you, Gary. The pipe dream of an $18,000 fire truck was never a realistic expectation because it ended up selling for $100,000 after the auction. was
I'm
done.
just saying,
Yeah,
just saying that.
But yeah,
An example.
and then the second one was just that I think somebody made a motion for a different number. If nobody wants to second that, then we move on. And if somebody wants to second that, then we go with that. But I think we're kind of deadlocked here, so a decision needs to be made, and preferably tonight. Because these need to get approved and get going so that our staff can start using them and implementing them. We have many policies and procedures that are in this manual that needs to be brought in all at once. And there are things that are good about it, so it needs to get done now.
Any other comments? Anybody have a suggestion how we can, this motion wasn't put out there yet, and we can put an amount on it. Add a paragraph in it, so. Does someone want to move something?
I'd move a motion forward for 15,000.
You want to move it?
Sure.
And then maybe the following year we can revisit and maybe increase it. All depending.
And
I
who wants to second that?
I like Councillor Bigelow's suggestion that we review it every year. I think that's a great suggestion.
I just can't think of what we would pay more than $10,000 without.
Repairs to a truck. Go ahead, gasket on a truck. Spend more than 10 grand on it.
Would we keep the truck?
Yeah, I'm looking 400,000 to buy a new one.
Yeah, with the maintenance of things, I can definitely see that, and I can, that's appropriate as well.
But we have those anyway, though. We have reserves in our budget for our vehicle upkeep, do we not? So then it would be budgeted as well. I don't know what would not be budgeted that we would spend more than $10,000 on.
Did you to review on a yearly basis?
Pardon?
Did you add to review yearly?
Almost there.
Then you see, yeah, it's not saying enough, and this is why, and it's okay.
Just this part, the procurement,
Mhm.
okay,
The one that, yeah, what the heck is it? Page. Yeah.
Can I ask one more question, Your Worship? Well, if I'm the mover,
be reviewed in a year or be reviewed annually? Is that what you,
Annually. I would say, well, same thing, really.
that means every year we gotta review it?
not the whole thing, just
No,
the,
just the, or the following year, and then we can just say, no, it seems to be a good amount. It's high enough, or it needs to be higher,
Go
or,
ahead, Councillor Tiber.
Could we just go ahead with this rather than bringing the whole thing forward, saying that if this is passed tonight, that the policies go ahead?
Well, that's with the last part of your motion is,
Okay,
yeah. So we're good to go?
Yeah.
So I know that Councillor Tiber moved it and it was seconded by Councillor Mick. Be it resolved that Council of the Town of Mattawa receives report number 25-13R titled Administrative Policies and Procedures Amendments. And further that non-budgeted amount approved by the CEO treasurer be 2,500 to 15,000. And further that the procurement 1.11 be reviewed annually. And further that council directs staff to return at the next regular meeting of council with a formal bylaw for adoption of the administrative policies and procedures. Questions, comments? Question, comments? Okay, recorded vote requested by Councilor Tiber. No questions, no comments?
Nope.
Okay.
Councilor Bieber,
Yes.
Councilor Mick,
No.
Mr. Mayor Gardner,
No.
Councilor Ross.
yes,
Councilor Bigelow,
Yes.
and Mayor Belanger.
No,
The motion is lost with a recorded vote of 3 yeas and 3 nays.
I thought that was too much, I want a 10.
we'll move on. Not gonna come back next meeting. It'll come back as old business.
That's what next week, okay.
Okay, 10.3 Annual Council Remuneration Report. That's report number 25-14R. Report was prepared by our CEO treasurer, Paul.
Yeah. So this is a annual reporting requirement under the municipal act. On March 31st of each year, that payments to all members of council be presented and be disclosed publicly. And so you have it in your package. For both 24 and 23, because this was not done for 23. And it's, the payment is for salary, expenses, honorariums, paid by whomever. So whomever is defined by municipal act is either us, ourselves as the town, or any other committee who is paying a member of council to attend that committee. The salaries, honorariums are, and the cell phone are covered in the remuneration bylaw. And expenses are covered by the town's municipal travel and expense policy, and attendance conferences are passed at resolution of council. And so the amounts are presented there in schedule appendix A and appendix B. I need to list every item for each one of you. You can see them there, but that is if approved, will get posted on our website, and we'll do their as required by the act. Questions, comments?
Questions, Councillor Gardner?
No questions, just thanking the CEO for getting this on here tonight. I've been hounding a little bit to get this out there and get this released, and I know you probably dread the little notification that Councillor Gardner has sent you another email, but appreciate you guys getting it out there and making sure that we're compliant for this year. And I think that it's important for our constituents to know.
Any other comments?
No.
Okay, we'll need a mover and a seconder, please. Councillor Ross, and seconder. Okay, moved by Councillor Ross, seconded by Councillor Gardner. Be it resolved that council of the town of Mattawa receives report number 25-14R titled Annual Council Remuneration Report. And further that council directs staff to post the attachments on the municipal website. Questions, comments? All in favor? All in favor? Against? You got that, clerk?
Yeah.
Okay. Okay, 10.4.
I hate that.
Okay, so information report number 25-15R titled Annual Drinking Water System Reports from Aqua, prepared by the Director of Community Services, Dexter.
Yeah, so it's just it's a report for reports. The annual drinking water systems reports from Aqua are now complete on the Town of Mattawa website and available for your perusal. In alignment with the requirements that both these reports are filed by both February 28th of each year and March 31st of each year. That's it.
Questions, comments? Okay, need a mover and a seconder. Okay, motion is moved by Councillor Gardner, seconded by Councillor Bigelow. Be it resolved that the council of the town of Mattawa receives report number 25-15R titled Annual Drinking Water Systems Report from Aqua. And further that council formally accept the following reports for the Mattawa drinking water system as submitted by the Ontario Clean Water Agency to the Corporation of the Town of Mattawa. Ontario Regulation 170/03, Section 11 Annual Report, and Ontario Regulation 170/03, Section 22 Summary Report. Questions, comments? None, all in favor? Carried. Old business, 12.1, Food Cycler Municipal Solutions. Anybody have something to bring or question or nothing? Okay, 12.2, Beautification Committee, Terms and Reference Committee Structure. Anything yet, Dexter?
Paul and I have to think about it.
Okay, thank you. Any questions, comments about it? None? 12.3, expense reductions audit for municipality. Nothing yet, Paul, okay. And 12.4, administrative policies and procedures.
We just did that.
We just did it. That's right, okay. Councillor Gardner.
Can I ask what happens now under that title?
What happens now, I'm gonna, well, the prevailing side, if there's a, you're gonna have to help me here. You can ask for a reconsideration vote,
You can't, not on this topic.
not on this.
It was lost.
It was lost,
It was
okay.
a tied loss.
We can do what we did tonight, so the mover can bring in an amendment at the next meeting.
You
Right?
can, or you can leave it under an old business and discuss it at the next meeting. On what you just want to
Okay,
do.
so what do you guys want to do? And Councillor Mick has a question?
I was just gonna suggest, it sounds like maybe we can send in some more feedback and then bring it right back at new business, our old business next meeting, and it'll be a new report with new red lines. And then we can pass that or not. Right, so it'll be a whole new report that's coming forward the next time it's massaged to the majority's liking.
Well, we're down to a number. Why do we need the whole report? Just my question,
Either way, with this one that came.
you know, it's, I think we all, like Councillor T-Bear moved it, he put a number down and someone, well, you seconded it, right?
Mhm.
Okay, and some people may think it was too high, some people may think it was too low, and that's what happened there, and there was deadlock vote. And the tie vote is a defeated vote. So we have options, put it back as old business, like we just said, so leave it there and bring it back. Or someone the mover has to bring in an amendment. Okay, so those are our options. Okay, so we did down new business. New business, this is on me, this one, so March 10th meeting. We kind of had a blow up in here and I reserved my comments at the time. I did say a few things. I wanted to let the dust settle and see how I wanted to answer. So I put a lot of thought in it, and so I wrote something down because I don't want to forget anything. And so that's the reason that I asked the clerk to put this as new business, and I'll go ahead and read it for you. Okay, so before council was sworn in, I met with each councillors one-on-one. I clearly remember, Sharon, that I would always respect your opinions, even when it does not align with mine. And I'm telling you that I will continue to do so. What I won't respect are the accusations and false statements that our community have heard from this table on Monday, March 10th, 2025. I will not identify councillors by name. And I wish to apologize in advance if what I'm about to say offends anyone around this table. As the saying goes, if the hat fits, wear it. A councillor presented a well-researched report to council asking for the next municipal election. Council look at reducing the number of elected members from 7 to 5. Some councillors immediately took offense to the report and stated their displeasure with the report. Others provided more substance within their right to support or oppose the contents of this information report. That was democracy at its best. Providing a report to the agenda for council deliberation is every councillor's right to do so. If you choose not to bring anything to the agenda, that is also your choice. But we can't become upset when an elected member brings issues forward for discussion. We must maintain proper decorum. May I remind you all that refusal to even explore and or discuss a subject does not provide good optics. It is not this table that will decide the mayor's fate. It is not this table that will decide a councillor's fate. That responsibility belongs to the electorate. This is why I'm asking for someone from the prevailing side to ask for a resolution reconsideration, or at least to consider it. Let's talk about mixed messages. A few councillors claim very large workload that they could not take on anymore, and that the CAO, mayor, and deputy mayor are not letting them get involved in town business. Well, which is it? Maybe, just maybe, there's not enough work for 7 elected members, and that 5 would encourage more participation. I'm just saying. As a councillor, if you don't agree with the composition of a work group, state it. Put your name forward and let the table decide who they will appoint. Furthermore, every working group and or committee have been approved by a resolution of council. If you have voted in favor, you shouldn't come back and complain about it. You have supported it. Let's take a moment to address ad hoc committees. Those that are subject to terms of reference, those that have a beginning and an end date. Like the Affordable Senior Housing Rosemount Valley Suite. It was mentioned that councillors were removed from that committee. This committee had fulfilled its mandate to build the 30 apartment suite. End of story. This committee did a great job in making RVS a reality. But it became alarming when council's concerns and questions were not being answered. Almost a year went by before council exerted some pressure to call a meeting. Finally, meetings were called on April 20th, 2023, May 9th, 2023, and finally, one on June 26, 2023, when members of the committee were asking when certain decisions were made and who made them. Must I remind council that if a proper outcome does not materialize, the town of Mattawa is on the hook for a $6 million mortgage, the payments for which we cannot afford. Voyageur Days 2023 was exactly for what the title says. Despite a successful festival event, accusations of bullying and harassment, in addition to an all-out tug of war with our staff, I was also threatened to be exposed publicly. I'm still waiting. Let us not forget that the Integrity Commissioner investigation occurred, which cost our constituents $35,000. These committee of council appointments are not life memberships. They serve a specific purpose over a specific timeline. And finally, the library. I was never involved in negotiations with the Near North School Board. I found out, like the rest of council, through an information report prepared by the library board that the library needed to find a new home. I treated this event as an opportunity, not a failure. We will eventually find and agree on a new location for the John Dixon Library. Until then, all options are on the table, including participation from our neighboring municipalities. The issue of council remuneration seems to be a never-ending story. The Corporate Services Committee offered to review the bylaw and the travel expenses policy, and limited proposals were submitted. I have tried to remain on middle ground on this one by trying to have both extremities meet in the middle. I can also tell you that some taxpayers are disappointed with me for choosing that route. After all the comments that I heard on March 10th, I can tell you something, that I have changed my approach on this issue, and I will now support the council remuneration be 100% attendance-based. Taxpayers have also asked me why council spends time on their cell phones while their attention should be on the meeting taking place. And please don't shoot the messenger. Amalgamation. Last month, staff submitted an information report titled Fire Protection Service Agreement for the Municipality of Matawan. Once again, we were all over the map. We danced around the question, going as far as saying, oh, I can't say the A word, or that a larger conversation needed to be had. But after much hesitation, I suggested that council grab the bull by the horns and address it. Let me be clear and transparent on the issue. I have taken the liberty to contact the mayor of the municipality of Matawan to apologize that he had to learn about the information report on CTV even before the council meeting recording had been posted on town sites. Imagine if the roles were reversed. How would we react? I further read a news report in Bay Today that makes it sound that I'm not in favor of amalgamation. If both sides would be willing to explore the possibility, then it becomes our duty to listen. I am just not comfortable in the way in which it was put out there. I voted against because I do not wish to be part of it. The immediate future of Mattawa is within Land Bank number 1. 250 acres along Dorion Road of undeveloped land within our boundaries. That is where our energy and dedication should be earmarked for. For years now, councils, not just ours, but councils, have been talking in circles about shared services and user fees with our neighboring communities. And that is where I think we should begin. You never know, it may entice discussion about amalgamation. And finally, I will never support a quorum of council moving forward town business unless approved by resolution and subject to our procedural policies and procedures. Have we all forgotten about the ombudsman investigation from years gone by? Thank you for permitting me to deliver this. No comments?
I have a lot.
I have something I wrote, if I can read it.
Absolutely.
So I wrote this on March 13th. Without starting a whole discussion, I would just like to say something about our role as councillors, and this is the date I wrote it. We have all been voted in as councillors to represent our constituents, but all of us have a different opinion as to why we were appointed. Some councillors believe it is to help create more programming for youth and seniors. Others it may be to create housing or to help attract industry. Another to find ways to save tax dollars. Another to upgrade our sewer and water system, etc. Keeping this in mind, there are a variety of reasons councillors believe they were appointed and try to focus on those agendas. As councillors, we deal with many of these issues on a fairly regular basis, and the majority of the time, councillors are in agreement with how items should be addressed. However, there are times when councillors will disagree with each other, And that is fine, because that is what democracy is all about, and different points of view, which open doors to discussion, and at times those discussions may become a little intense. However, at the end of the day, councillors will always try to work for the community together and to the best of their ability. We must always try and remember that no councillor is totally right or wrong, and that a lot of time and preparation go into reports and presentations, and that we should always come back together to find common ground so we can work better as a team for the betterment of our community, which I truly believe we do. And then I hope everyone had a good weekend, but I didn't post that. But that was mine.
Thank you. No more? That's from it?
Yeah, I don't know, I think in response, no one was really offended by the report. I think the offense was taken when there was insinuation that there's not enough contributing from the other councillors. You know, when, you know, we've kind of made it clear that we've been trying to. But then also, like, I find it a little hard to hear where, you know, you're saying you respect our opinions, and, you know, if we have something wrong, we should state it. But I've heard many times around this table, when we bring concerns forward, the line, well, we passed it in motion, we have to stick to it. Well, like, I think it's kind of, it's like moot whether we passed it or not, whether we all voted for it or not. When we bring a concern forward, we're saying what we passed isn't working anymore, you know, and I think it is a very kind of scary thing to not change your opinion on things, right? Just because we thought one way before, and here we are saying we're changing our opinion on things, and then we're being shut down saying, well, we passed it at this table, so now we have to do it. And so I absolutely will not be moving to bring this motion back again. I don't think it was worth discussing the first time, and I don't think it's worth discussing again.
Good one. Anybody else? Yeah, Councillor Tebow.
There was a statement made that one councillor had stated that decisions were made by the mayor, the deputy mayor, and the CAO as to who. I did not say that. What I said was that every time there's something important or every time there's something happens, like it's either the mayor or the deputy mayor, or the mayor, the deputy mayor, and the CAO, or the mayor and the CAO that does these things. Other councillors are here too. And what I stated was that we're just as intelligent, and my words were, and I quote myself, is that there are other councillors here that are just as intelligent, or maybe even more intelligent than those three people. And that's all I said. I didn't accuse those three people of manipulating or anything like that. All I said was that it seems that those are the people that do all of the work. Well, there's other councillors that want to get involved, but never are given the opportunity. And I'm saying that by not given the opportunity, and when you asked me, your worship, and I think your question was, are you blaming me? And I said, yes, I am. And the reason I made that statement was that I discussed it with you on several times, or at least twice, and nothing happened about it. It was still the same councillors, the same people that went and done these things. And so that's why I said I blamed it on you. Not because you had done anything, it's that you had done nothing to rectify the situation. That's the only insinuation that I was making. And I apologize if it offended you. And I didn't mean that at all. What I was trying to say to you was that there's 4 other councillors at this table. So, and that's all. And like I said, if I've offended you or anybody else by making that statement, I apologize, because that wasn't my intention.
Anybody else? No, my final thing, I read a statement, I stick to it, and I'll move on. So we'll go to questions from the public. Our friend isn't here this evening, so unless someone's online.
No, it's
No.
not.
Okay, and brings us to the in-camera session.
You're not putting these yet.
I usually use my cell phone and I
Okay.
like this call as well.
Ordered them.
Yeah, I was okay.
Oh, were you?
Yeah,
Okay.
I have stuff in my house as well. and I-
So the guys that
I
get
do
the
keep
new ones,
track
we
of it.
can get the old,
Oh, fair enough. It's all good.
or if the guy, if anybody got new ones, I don't think. I didn't
Yeah, I
know.
don't see it. Unless they moved it somewhere. I don't see.
We have something here.
Yeah, maybe a big one. Yeah, right here.
Yeah,
Thank you.
you're welcome.
Okay, so I need a mover and a seconder to go in camera. Also Ross and Bigelow. Okay, so moved by Councillor Ross, seconded by Councillor Bigelow. Be it resolved that this council proceed in camera at 7:37 PM in order to address the matter pertaining to personal matters about an identifiable individuals, including municipal or local board employees. And in proposed or pending acquisition of disposition of land by the municipality or local boards. Questions, comments? All in favor? Carry. Okay, I have a motion here, moved by Councillor Ross, seconded by Councillor Mick. Be it resolved that the regular meeting reconvene at 8:12 PM. All in favor? Carry. So we went into a closed meeting to discuss the Rosemount Valley Suites and the Parks and Recreation Supervisor position. So on the next one, I need a mover and a seconder. Okay, so moved by Councillor Gardner, seconded by Councillor Mick. Be it resolved that Council of the Town of Mattawa approves the hiring of Sherry Wabi as the Parks and Recreation Supervisor under the conditions set out in the closed meeting session of council of Monday, March 24th, 2025. I'm going to request a recorded vote. Questions or comments?
No.
No.
Mayor Belonte,
Yes.
Mayor Gardner,
Yes.
Councillor Mick,
No.
Councillor Hubert,
Yes.
Councillor Bigelow,
Yes.
Councillor Ross.
Yes.
The motion is carried with a recorded vote of 5 yeas and 1 nay.
Two. Brings us to adjournment. Mover and a seconder. Moved by Councillor Ross, seconded by Councillor Mick. Be it resolved that the March 24, 2025 meeting adjourned at 8:14 PM. All in favor? Carried.